Hey, what's up, everybody? BroTrio here, and 2022 was a crazy year. It was a very not well-paced year as far as franchise video games go. Like, we had some real banger after bangers in the beginning, and then a lot of bangers at the end, and not much in between.
Yeah, it's like a sandwich where they took the meat and the cookie cutter and cut out the center of it. That's what 2022 was. Those edges were good, but that middle, it wasn't the best.
But obviously, if it's stacked on both ends, then there are at least 10 games to pull from, and there were some great ones this year. And so we're going to get started by talking about our 10 best games of 2022. You already know how this works if you're a returning subscriber to the channel, but those of you that aren't, the Bro Trio, we take our own individual rankings and then find the average of those numbers, and then that becomes the Bro Trio top 10s. So it's based off of all of our points put in individually and then average for the total. And we also give every game its own award for the end of the year list. So let's get on with number 10.
One of the most charming and colorful games I played last year was Grapple Dog. I did a whole powwow about it. I loved that game. I thought it was great. And we're awarding it with Best Platformer because the platforming was really good, the physics engine was good, and those two meshed together very well. And there were even some platforming bosses, and so a shoe-in for Best Platformer.
Splatting its way onto number 9, we have Splatoon 3, and we're giving it the award for Best Multiplayer Game, which in its defense, we don't really do too much multiplayer, but
yeah.
Splatoon does multiplayer differently than everyone else does multiplayer. One, it's good on Nintendo, which is semi-rare. Two, it is not what you think. Like, it's not PvP, but it is. It's really PvP canvas. Like, your goal is just to paint shit, not to kill other people, or paint, a specific area, or, the clam blitz. You gather clams and blitz them. But there's a lot of cool multiplayer aspects in Splatoon 3, but there's also a pretty lengthy single player, and it has some really funny, outlandish, crazy lore that's going on in there. The final boss is wild, I covered it in my powwow and blew Aaron and Scotty's minds, but you fly up on an eel tornado into space to fight a bear, and how can you get more ridiculous than that? But one of the best aspects of it is the multiplayer mode called Salmon Run. It is basically like a Gears of War style horde mode, but it's only 3 waves, and they vary randomly in difficulty. You can have a big open area because the tide has receded, so there's more options to go everywhere, and then there's a lot of enemies coming in. Or the tide will rise and you have a tiny area, and it could be a little bit powerful enemies, or it could be a bunch of low power enemies that just swarm you all at once. Salmon Run is one of the more interesting aspects of Splatoon 3. I loved it. I actually played a good bit of the multiplayer too, and I put in a lot of hours when Splatoon 3 came out. I haven't gone back to it yet, but they just did a Splatfest, and I missed out on it, and I felt almost guilty that I didn't participate in the food Splatfest. You got to decide which was better, spicy, sweet, or sour.
They did a Pokemon one too. That was really cool.
Yeah,
the Water won.
Yep, Water won that one. But next Splatfest,
I helped. The Afro Duck. Jesus.
Yeah.
All right.
So next Splatfest, we will be participating because I know me and Aaron both have it. So I won't feel guilty next time.
Yeah. One of the more interesting games I played this year was Triangle Strategy. That plot was absolutely insane. Like, I did not see a lot of those twists coming, and it was even weirder because I was the one making those choices. But, yeah, like, the characters were great, the plot was good, it looked beautiful. Like, it looks on par with Octopath, and that's saying something because those pixel, like, art, oh my god. And,
So with those choices, did you not know how it was going to turn out? Is that what you meant by you didn't see it coming? Or
exactly.
Okay.
Like sometimes you're just like, well, some of the choices are easy where it's just like, okay, well, do I want to be a bastard or not? But then there's other ones where it's just like, which country should I visit first? And that like pisses the other country off. That leads things in a way that you don't expect. Or sometimes like, you'll go down one path and a character will like be mad at you for not picking their choice and they'll just like leave.
Oh.
And stuff, and you're just like, oh no, I just lost my healer. Shit, I better, I hope I recruit a new one. Like, it gets wild, it gets crazy, and I had to look these up because I wasn't playing through the game like 4 times, but there's 4 or 5 different boss fights at the end, depending on your choices throughout, and it was just really interesting and fun to go through those battles and to go through that plot. And because it got robbed at the Game Awards, we're giving it Best Strategy Game because it wasn't even nominated, and that's half of the title.
In a lot of ways, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is the absolute dream come true for a Pokemon game. In pretty much every way. It was what I wanted Pokemon to be for years. I wondered what a Pokemon on a console would look like. And
yeah,
turns out it looks kind of bad, but it's still fun as hell. The good outweighs the bad, but you know, while they were programming the game, they threw the laptop through the wood chipper and then just finished the job on that laptop. But other than that, this is a phenomenal game. It's ugly, but it's so much fun. From the second you start into the open world, it's different. It's different. That's one of the main things. It's different from most other Pokemon games. And whether that stays or not, you know, Pokemon Company doesn't keep their little gimmicks from game to game. But Pokemon Scarlet and Violet showed us that an open world Pokemon game can work. And hopefully next time they get some help optimizing it and stuff like that to make it even better. Because like I'm not a big like, oh, graphics, this big game is bad because the graphics are bad. No, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet made it up to number 6 based on gameplay and feel alone, and that's why we're giving it the Best Adventure Award, because that's all it was a very, very fun adventure with some technical issues that frankly cannot be ignored, but that does not make the game any worse, really, because it was phenomenal, and it was... I didn't really have that many crashes. So, like, a lot of people did, and that's different. But it was so good, especially when you get to the end game area. Oh, Jesus. That end game area was so good. And refighting the gyms at the end of the game when they're allowed to go all out, so good. And there's, like, 3 different gym paths, basically. They're all different kinds of gyms, essentially, and you get badges. But it did so many things right. And very few wrong, and that's why Pokemon Scarlet and Violet made it this high on the list. And the Pokemon designs, by and large, to me, were excellent.
Those of you keeping track at home may have realized Scotty kept saying number 6, but it's actually number 7 with that entry. This entry is number 6.
We got 2 Pokemons back to back, alright? I got a little confused, and we liked Arceus better.
Yeah. So, Pokemon Legends Arceus is the actual factual number 6 BroTrio Game of the Year, because Pokemon Legends Arceus, and I don't know if there were too many other ones, but it got our award for best spin-off because this is how you do a damn spin-off. Like, doing a Pokemon spin-off in a way that is like in the past and like exceptionally lore heavy,
and the Pokeballs are made of wood, and they got a little metal latch on them. It's awesome.
It's great.
So good.
Yeah, and like you throw snacks at them and stuff. Like I know a little bit about it. I haven't played it yet.
It's basically Pokemon mixed with Pokemon Snap.
Yeah,
But
a
like
lot.
you are the camera.
I'm saying, if you take Scarlet and Violet and combine it with Arceus, you have got the perfect Pokemon game to me.
Yes, because
And, like,
just throwing the ball at Pokemon, like you can. Outbreaks are one of the best things that have ever happened. Like, there's no better feeling than hiding in grass whenever, like, a spatial vortex or whatever the it's called starts happening. Then there's an outbreak of, like, Porygons or something, and you're just lobbing feather balls at them, just hitting them in the back, catching, like, 20 at a time.
Oh, and the different balls acting in different ways like they do. Like, the heavy balls,
Yeah.
that was my favorite one, because you have to be right on them, because they don't go far. But they're so much harder to break out of. So, like, you throw this rock and this Pokemon, and, like, it goes, like, if the feather ball goes, across the mountain range, this one's just like, bloop. That's it. It goes, like, 2 feet. But if you catch them, especially if you catch them from behind, oh, you've got them. You have got them. And some people that are more against Arceus than we are like, yeah, but it makes catching Pokemon too easy. I disagree. I don't think it makes it too easy. I think it makes it snappier and much smoother of a gameplay loop.
Right.
Now, there could be some more balance to strike there. Maybe if it... But more often than not, if it's a big, strong one, you're going to have to fight it regardless. It's not like you can... Like, you can sneak up and maybe get them, but more often than not, they're going to bust out, and they're going to be pissed, and they're coming after you. They're not coming after your Pokemon. That's another one of my favorite parts. They come after your ass.
Not only that, but there's also the villagers talking non-stop throughout the game about how dangerous Pokemon are.
Yeah.
Because they're monsters.
They don't trust them. It's awesome. It's like, if you lived around a bunch of bears, you wouldn't want to go out of town.
No.
You wouldn't want to do that.
And honestly, we could talk about Pokemon Legends Arceus all day, but our only hopes is that they continue this phenomenal spin-off series and go to like other regions, like Pokemon Legends Johto or Ho-Oh or Lugia or
even if they don't
any other region.
Even if they don't combine the two, like I'm hoping, like I really hope we get more of these spin-offs in the past like that. That would be so excellent.
Pokemon Legends Johto would be my pick for the region. A lot of people think something Johto related is coming, and honestly, with
Johto.
all the balls you make out of apricorns and stuff, like, Johto is famous for the different types of balls introductions, so that could lead to some really cool ways to, like, new ways to capture Pokemon in the Legends game, and we cannot wait for it. It did very well when it came out. Everyone was talking about it, so hopefully they listen and we get something new in the Legends series.
Maybe they'll actually do something with the unknown if they do that.
They kind of did in this one, but not really. Like
They did not. They did the same thing as always. They're just like, it's the alphabet, but it sucks.
I'm sure anyone watching this remembers Pokemon Fever. And that was 5 and 6 and 7 were about Pokemon Fever and how it continues today. Now, Pokemon dipped in popularity a little from the 90s, but it never really left. Ninja Turtles has dipped massively since the 80s, and Turtle Fever in the 80s was ridiculous.
Oh, it was crazy.
And that's why we were so glad when they announced Shredder's Revenge. We grew up on the Ninja Turtles, we love the Ninja Turtles, and they released an excellent beat-em-up starring the Ninja Turtles. They got the voice actors from the old cartoon and everything. It was an literal dream come true. Like, this game had 6-player co-op. You could have all 4 turtles, Splinter, April O'Neil, and unlock Casey Jones after you beat it, which was a little, like, not the best. I wish we'd unlocked him a little earlier.
Yeah.
But Shredder's Revenge graphically is just incredible. Like, the sprite art, everything, the little details, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, those details. Like, there's so many references to the old show, to the movies, to the toy line.
They brought in the, like, Pinkertons or whatever.
Yeah.
That's Red Dead, but the little alien guys in the hot rods, the 50s aliens.
Yeah.
Like, those guys are here. I remember them, like, appearance-wise, but I don't, like, knew nothing about them. But they got everybody. Everybody came back pretty much.
Even the Punk Frogs.
The Punk Frogs.
Yeah.
And it's like a continuation of the 80s cartoon. The boss fights were incredible. The combat was incredible. Some of the best co-op all year. And that, I mean, not even to mention the music.
Oh my god.
Which is
that
why
soundtrack.
that's why we gave it the best soundtrack award. That how many when you were adding them to your phone, how many did you leave off? Like 2?
I left off like 2 or 3.
Two
maybe.
or 3. Like there's 2 or
Like,
3 that aren't great.
Everything else is a banger.
They got the Wu-Tang Clan to do a rap about Shredder versus the Ninja Turtles. And then
ridiculous.
It wasn't just that. They had like T-Lopes do the whole soundtrack. He's awesome. But they had a Sonic Adventure style butt rock song for like the Sky one on the surfboards. They had everything you could want out of a Turtles game. Like there was the foot soldier that was a carny that just hopped out trying to fight you. And you saw it in the trailer, the ones typing and working, and then they went to fight you. But the Coney Island one caught me so off guard. I didn't expect to fight him. I thought he was just there doing his job, but no. And then saw him getting like painted in the Technodrome.
The foot soldier factory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was
that
the
was
foot
a
soldier
really
factory.
cool touch.
It was incredible. You fought all the heavy hitters. We had Baxter, Shredder, Krang, Dirtbag, and Ground Chief, Rat King, Chrome Dome. All the heavy hitters pretty much were here, and even some not heavy hitters. And topping it all off with the gorgeous visuals and the complete rocksteady bebopping music. That is why Turtles made it to the top 5, because it was everything a fan of the TMNT could ever ask for. At number 4, we've got Elden Ring, and we're giving this the Best Open World award, because good God, there was something around every corner that was meaningful. And, you know, sometimes I was finding too many spell books or whatever in a row, too many things to do with magic, and I wasn't a magic build, but that's fine, because if I was a magic build, I'd be in hog heaven. But Elden Ring was the world was full of a ton of great bosses, some repeats, but mostly fun to fight. I can't think of a boss outside of a few, like the crystal guys. I hated them. I didn't like the crystal guys. When you fought one, it was okay, but there was the one other one where you fight like 3 of them.
And they poison you and Scarlet Rot you and like blind you or some shit.
That was awful.
As a magic user, oh my god, did those guys suck.
The reason I liked them, the first one, is because like your swords just bounce off of it. So I had
Showed us your magic.
I had to switch it up and get to a weapon that hits like blunt. So I had to I got a flail, and blunt damage is very effective against them. I thought that was a very cool touch, but when it's 3 of them, that. If I'd gotten in when before the mimic tier got patched, maybe maybe it would have been better.
I mean, it was still pretty good after it got patched too.
Yeah, it was still really good, but man, Elden Ring, the build variety, the open world, one of the best horses I think in any game, because you can summon it from anywhere, and it's got like horns for some reason.
And a double jump.
A horse with a double jump, and if you jump in a tornado, he just flies up. And there's not just monsters, there's like animals and stuff all around, and like most of them don't really attack you except the bears, and maybe like wolves or something. And the bears, that was
those
trouble.
rune bears.
Well, the rune bears sucked, and the regular bears sucked less. But those rune bears they never really got easy.
No.
It's like, even if you, I don't know, man. Every time I fought a rune bear, if I was around its level, I guess, it was a really tough challenge. And especially one of my favorite parts outside of the open world, where they called them like legacy dungeons. And that's where it was like classic Souls stuff, where it was like it's a castle or whatever, or when you go underground and there's a sky underground, and it's like the Laurelin River or whatever. I don't remember the name, but it's under that river. And there's boss fights and shit under there too. It's just, and then when you go to other sections underground, the maps connect later. It was really cool. Elden Ring was like, that's kind of like, I didn't think we'd have another like, this is how you do an open world so soon after Breath of the Wild. Because, like, when you make exploration that fun and rewarding, that is where an open world to me really shines. And Elden Ring had that in spades. And that is why it is this high up on this list. It's this high up. Aaron didn't even play it.
Yeah.
Daniel didn't like it as much as me. He liked it, but not as much as me. And that threw the average down a little bit, but it still got this damn high because Elden Ring is completely it's excellent. I can't recommend it more. Even if you didn't like Souls games in the past, give Elden Ring a shot. It is definitely worth a try at least.
Similar to how they came out, once Elden Ring comes out, then you have Horizon after, but in this aspect, Horizon beats Elden Ring because Horizon Forbidden West is my personal game of the year. I loved it from start to finish, and it was so much fun. It took everything about Horizon Zero Dawn and just pumped it up to the next level. It's similar to any good video game sequel, and I saw a lot of people bitching about that. They're just like, it's just the same thing but better. That's what a fucking sequel is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Why would they reinvent the wheel when they already have it?
Especially for the second game, there's not that I can't really
think exactly.
5 or 6 entries in, maybe try your hand at blending genres.
God of War reinvented itself with 2018, but why is it going to reinvent itself again for a direct sequel with Ragnarok? Because it reinvented itself once already, and why would they do that? That doesn't make any sense. That's not a good sequel. If it plays nothing like the original, that's not a good sequel.
Horizon Forbidden West really amped things up with the combat, because the combat in the first one, bow and arrows were great. The melee aspects weren't the greatest. It was fun enough and passable, but in the second one, oh my god, you get so many more combos. You have fight pits in most of the big towns, so that's a quest to take on all the different fight pits. You rank up, you go to the next town, do another fight pit. My God,
I do like fight pits. I need to check that out.
The robot designs in this one, my goodness, they went all out. So before I dig into those and start gushing about them, real quick, we are giving Horizon Forbidden West the Best Design Award. I leave design as a blank canvas, not character design, not level design, not world design, just design, period. Because all of it is exceptional. The robots' designs are the best they've ever been. Even some of the old ones from the first one got tweaked and different in this one. The character designs of the people are fantastic. The Tenakth have such interesting war paints going on, and it varies from tribe to tribe. The Desert Clan does a lot of black, yellow, and red paints, and it's really cool to see because I would say Horizon Forbidden West is the best graphics I've seen.
Well, it looks like it mastered
it
looks like it's mastered that future caveman aesthetic. It's
because
that's the best way I can describe it is future caveman.
So you hear about it all the time with PS5 and Xbox Series X, but the ray tracing aspect in Horizon, when you have it on fidelity mode, that is the best way to play it, because 60 FPS and HD is great and everything, but fidelity mode with that extra ray tracing, bumping it down to 30 FPS is a necessary hit to see all the particle effects from the blight, all the reflections off the Tenakth face paint, because the black that they use is you could tell it's a greasy, oily face paint, because not only is it shimmering, but you can almost see the sweat moisture seeping out from under it on the people's skin. It's wild. But the Tenakth designs, the character designs, and the machine designs really set Horizon Forbidden West above the rest, and I cannot wait for the Burning Shores to come out. Seemingly not that far away from the anniversary of the game, and I'm so excited for it.
One of the most unexpectedly good games of the year was Kirby and the Forgotten Lands.
Oh god!
Any Kirby fan knows that you're down to have a good time.
Yeah, Kirby's always mostly a good time, but this was different.
I don't exactly know what they somehow got the 2D aspect in 3D. It's one of the best 2D to 3D conversions I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was so interesting because like one thing like behind closed doors like features the developers talked about was like how the hit physics worked. They're just like, yeah, this didn't actually hit Kirby, but from the camera angle it looked like it should have, so it did. And I was like, that's so weird that they knew how to do that, and it worked so incredibly well. And honestly, one of the best things about Kirby and the Forgotten Lands would be that I think they took a step back from like the 4-player co-op multiplayer that Kirby had been like becoming with like Star Allies, and made it a mostly single-player experience. Like you can still 2-player with Bandana Waddle Dee.
Oh, the best part about that is that Kirby didn't get Bandana Waddle Dee's power.
Yeah, that Spear's nowhere to be found.
Because it just takes away from the partners when Kirby can do it too, to me. Like, I know that DDD's going to have his hammer, but it can be different than Kirby's hammer, you know?
Oh, yeah. Speaking of DDD's hammer, you can upgrade copy abilities in this bitch too, and my god.
That made up for the lack of copy abilities to me, but...
Yeah, because it changes them so radically sometimes.
Makes some viable, because I don't give a shit about Needle ever. But in Forgotten Lands, you get Crystal Needle? My god, it's like the most powerful thing in the game.
And even if you preferred a previous power-up, you can power it up to snuff with the new one. If you like that better, like Ranger, if you like the 2 guns better than the space gun for the final level of Ranger,
you can go back.
You can go back and you can power it up to make the 2 guns as good as the space gun. It's awesome.
One of my favorite aspects of that like specific thing was Sword. When you upgrade it first, you get a big, heavy claymore, and then you upgrade it to the next level, you get Meta Knight's Swift Sword.
It shoots blade beams.
You could still go back, and it's kind of your choice. Do I want to be like quick and a little less strong, or like strong as shit but slow? And that was like one of the best aspects of the power-up levels, were that they weren't necessarily like one is fathomably better than the other. It was just different.
And building up Waddle Dee Town as you progress was awesome too.
That was cool.
Maybe a little more they could have done with it, but it was great. I really enjoyed that pretty much the whole game. It's just such a delightful adventure.
Oh yeah, and there's so many like little hints and secrets and Easter eggs just spread all throughout, and all of I'm not gonna say every single one, but almost all the boss fights were bangers. Because there's like, you can just sum it up being like, oh, I fought a giant monkey, but no, it's not that. Like, there's actually like more to it, and then the refights were really what stood out to me, because it's like, okay, they're not just bullet sponges. Now they're different. They have different tactics, and a lot of times they're in a different setting. And like the second fight with the DDD on the like pedestal in the middle of the lava,
when he's running around like a f***ing wild animal.
Yeah, and he's like ground pounding, and then the level tips, and you're just like, oh no, I'm getting in the lava.
I think the coolest thing DDD did to me though was when he picked up like a pillar and was swinging it.
Yeah, DDD got. Oddly enough, he didn't get his buff for him, but he was strong in this game. And really, that's the word I would use to describe this game, is it just took everything and made it like, it hit strong and it hit well. And that is why we're giving it the best franchise refresh, because it definitely deserves that.
Our number 1 game of 2022 has to be, I mean, it's kind of predictable at this point, it is Stray.
Yeah.
No,
Stray's good, I'll say that.
Stray's good. None of us played it until recently, though. But it's God of War Ragnarok. You knew one of those two was coming, and when Elden Ring didn't make it, you knew the other one was coming up behind it. So that's just how this Game Awards season has gone. It's like, those are the 2 top spots. God of War Ragnarok kind of perfected what 2018 was doing combat-wise and gameplay-wise.
Oh, man, it's way better.
And it turned it up to 11 in every way. Like, I kind of miss the simplicity of 2018's goal of just like, we're trying to spread these ashes and everyone's being a dick.
Yeah.
But, no, I don't even care. Because Ragnarok, Jesus Christ, that was like, you got all the melodrama with the gods and the monsters and everything, and Kratos and his son still bonding. And it's better this time, mostly, because, like, he's not just... He only calls him boy, I think, 1 time the whole game.
That's only when he's in trouble.
That's only when he's in trouble. So Atreus has got the respect and everything now. And it's just... We gave it the best story award because it has positively one of the best stories and performances in every writing and everything in any game I've ever played.
Almost any medium, I would say.
Yeah, it's excellent. It was a fantastic way to close out a saga in the God of War series, and like, we have a powwow coming up about it, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'm going to try not to spoil too much, but I'll just say, like, you took Kratos, who once got like a slave woman and put her in a gear and made her hold up a door, and then she died, and then the door was open, and you made him likable. You made Kratos not only likable, but kind of redeemed for some of his past. And like, some stuff you can't fully redeem him, I get that, but Kratos' redemption and his story arc, in my opinion, is complete, and it needs to stay where it is. We can move on from Kratos and still have the God of War series, I think. And that's what I'd like to see in the future, because this story wrapped everything up so damn well that I think it's best to just leave Kratos as he is and continue in another direction, because best story, my God. God of War Ragnarok, like, find a way to go play it. If you can't play it, watch a full playthrough with no talking on YouTube or something, because if you like melodrama and badass fights, then you're in for a treat.
And those are the Bro Trio picks for our top 10 games of 2022. Like we said, this was a good year for gaming, like especially on the sandwich ends. But hopefully 2023 is going to end up being, at this point, I would say it might be the opposite, because it seems like we're getting a lot of stuff like late spring, early summerish.
It's not just, and it's not just because Zelda's coming out again this year, but I hope it's like kind of like 2017 over again, where it was like bam, 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 game after game after game.
Yeah.
Like go from like the sandwich with the hole cut in it to like one of the Scooby-Doo sandwiches that Shaggy eats. Like, that's what I'm hoping for, because I'm ready to play some, like, mainly Zelda is all on my mind right now, because it's supposedly coming out relatively soon, but good God, I'm hoping 2023 blows us away with the great game releases.
So if we didn't mention your favorite game of 2022, be sure to drop it in the comments, because we like to know what everybody else likes, because I've had so many games suggested to us from these Game of the Year videos that I put them on my watch list, I buy them, and then they sit in my backlog forever. There's a whole video about that on our channel also, but I will get around to them eventually, and I like seeing what y'all like. So be sure to let us know, and be sure to stay tuned to Bro Trio for more content, because 2022 may be over, but we still got one more video left, and that is Best Boss Fights of 2022. So you want to stick around for that one, and we'll catch y'all next time.